Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Yes, hello there.
All right, this is our whatever take.
3, 4,
It's been a crazy
5.
day. It's been a crazy day. We were doing this like 8 hours ago, but we didn't get it. In technical difficulties, guys.
Yep.
So we were talking about this cyclone, Tokate, right? Tokte. Well, it ended up sinking an Indian barge that happened to be operated by state-run Explorer Oil and Natural Gas Corp. Now, there was 273 people on board. 177 people were rescued in a night-long operation, with 96 still missing. So we pray for those people out there that they be found.
Yes, we do. Send our prayers and our love and understanding that way.
And there's some video here too. You know, obviously the storms are getting stronger, as we've been saying. And we've talked about all sorts of artificial flavoring. But, you know, you got to also look at all the things that are happening to infrastructure and resources, especially energy resources again. Colonial Pipeline admits shippers' communication system is experiencing network issues. Colonial is currently experiencing network issues impacting customers' ability to enter and update nominations. Our IT department is aware and working diligently to restore service. So, you know, the question is, was this a second hack on the pipeline that brings basically 45% of the oil over to the East Coast?
Mm-hmm. Something to think about.
And we had talked about this was something that's going to be happening, where countries will stop shipping food and commodities related to feeding the nations. They'll stop shipping and keep it for themselves. And when you see that happening in mass, then we know we got serious issues going on.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So yeah, it's starting. It's starting, and our brother David at DAP 2030 has been talking about that. And he actually he did make the statement. He believes there's going to be protein rationing that we'll see here in the U.S. of A. by the end of the year. We'll see. I do trust in his research.
Mm-hmm.
Billionaires are offloading massive amounts of stock, and that tells you a lot. When the billionaires are dumping stock, it's just like the rats leaving the boat.
It sure is, because they know something's happening.
They always know what's happening. I mean, well, obviously, to accumulate great wealth like a billionaire, it takes a certain know-how. It takes a certain, well, I would say ruthlessness too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't really buy luck, so to speak. I think it's more about who you know,
Yeah.
and what information you get from being in some sorts of circles,
Yes.
some sorts of groups, you know, and I don't mean the Boy Scouts.
No, definitely not them.
Sorry, guys. Just having a coughing attack there, you know. We had talked about on the other channel just how many presidents, for instance, were, well, Freemasons, and even others belonging in people in very high influential places that belong to these clubs like the Bilderbergs, the Skull and Bones. You know, go to places like Bohemian Grove to party and do whatever else they're doing, and maybe share a little insider trading.
A
little bit. You know, billionaires are the ones that made out the best with the plague upon the land. In actuality, many of them have probably obtained in 1 year's time what would normally take 10 or 20 years to do, or maybe could never be done before. Interesting how these things work.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's just all coinky-dinks.
It is, of course.
Gold gains as dollar goes red for 2021, nears lowest since 2014. Dollar tanking. China, Russia, many other countries basically bailing. And, you know, this is all part of that shift in power heading over towards the fine dining ware country. The balance of power, the system, the global system that's supposed to, and perhaps the plans of some of the upper echelon, after all is said and done and all the trial and tribulations that we find ourselves in, the world will emerge unified under one very red banner, so to speak. But again, as we've said, I don't really think it's about converting everybody to socialism or even communism or even fascism. I think it's more about instilling the system that we saw in effect, say, 4, 5, 6,000 years ago in Babylon, in Sumeria. Those funny little carvings and drawings that show these beings that happen to be like 2 humans in size or bigger, just basically leading the humans around while their hands are tied behind their back and they have rope tying them one to another at the neck.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call that?
It looks a little suspicious.
Yeah, what's the name for that system?
It's not volunteer.
No, it's not volunteer. And in fact, there was a horrible travesty done to people of African descent that they went and grabbed them, basically kidnapped them and brought them over to work, different farms, different plantations. I think it begins with an S. Well, that's where I think that this is truly heading, and the plans of the elite, let's just say. Single-family housing start to crash in April, and the housing market is crazy. We've been getting more and more information from various people talking about how, again, we had seen and we had talked about in the future, some have this view that you'll own nothing. You'll own nothing. You will just simply, if you need to get something, you'll probably end up either, going down to Walmart, which maybe it'll have some sort of governmental name by that point in time, or you'll get it from Amazon, and that'll be your only 2 choices. And maybe Amazon will become, part of the federal government itself.
Could be, yeah.
Something along those lines, and that's going to be your only choices. And you will take what you're given, and you'll be happy, and you will own nothing. And maybe even they will herd you to wherever they want to herd you. And these, well, maybe not even if you're living in China, but maybe they'll be in some of those cities out in the desert that nobody's in over in China. Who are they for anyway? Is that earth change related, or is that shifting population related?
I don't know. Just maybe they just wanted to build a bunch of houses.
Maybe that's for re-education.
Maybe.
Could be.
Well, that's nice of them, though.
Like what they're doing to the poor Uyghurs. They're re-educating them.
Yeah.
Top U.S. general warns of broader destabilization risks from Israel-Palestinian hostilities. So this is General Mark Milley warning of it spiraling out of control and becoming something that becomes regional, then perhaps global. And it's so easy to see that as Palestinians go on strike amid airstrikes and rocket fire. Well, can't really blame them, but then again, I wonder how often the humans went on strike when the Ijiji were right here or the Anunnaki were right here in front of them. I wonder how that worked out. Well, I guess we could. Can you visualize the Tower of Babel? Hey, look what they're doing. They're unified. They have one mind. They're actually getting along. They're working nicely together. We can't have this. Come, let us go down there and scatter them abroad. It probably looked like some major attack, and Sassy's getting riled up. She's like, let me at them. I will nip at their knees. Well, she can't reach their knees.
Ankles.
Maybe big toe.
Yeah, okay, she'll do it.
Okay. It's gonna, it looked like something out of Star Wars. Or maybe it was just simply beams of light coming from the sky. How long have satellites been up there anyway? What's up with the Black Knight and the White Knight satellites that are apparently thousands or millions of years old? As Sassy is looking at us right now with an extreme concern on her face.
Yes, she said, you mentioned the Black Knight.
She said, don't tell me the Anunnaki are coming back. Don't tell me that. Well, if you ever read Joel and the Day of the Lord, it paints a pretty alien invasion type picture. Really, go check it out. Live updates: Israeli jets strike 9 underground rocket launchers in Gaza. And they're using bunker busters, which some have said are mini, N-U-K-E-S. Whatever happened to that convention that was held in Geneva so many years ago? It just seems like things are just for show. Do as we say, but not as we do.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
They sure do. U.S. deployed warships towards the Red Sea and B-52 bombers in Spain in a thinly veiled support for Israel. NATO forces appear to be active nearby. And again, that certain forecast, DEAGEL, I think a lot of people could kind of see the logic behind it now.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, the forecast is removed. But we still have a few screenshots here and there that show some interesting stats.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, it's mostly the NATO countries, the U.S. and NATO and U.S. allies, that have the biggest drop in their forecasted population for year 2025. Putin's military base in the far north revealed. Moscow tells the West this is our land. Reveals huge complex that can operate nuclear bombers and bristles with missiles and radar. And this is way up there. This is way up in the Arctic Circle. There's so many things that are fascinating to look at that really get you wondering what's going on here. For one, obviously the U.S. spending more militarily than like the next 8 or 9 countries combined each year. And of course, there's a lot of black ops, so we don't see where this stuff goes to. But when you look at little things like protecting your citizens, which, a government for the people, by the people, you would think they would try to protect the citizenry. Well, why do we have no underground shelters in case of a big attack, an NUKE attack?
Mm-hmm.
Russia does. Why don't we? Well, yeah, in West Virginia, there's places to house the government and the elites. How about us?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else out there. Feels very much like the movie Greenland, does it not?
It sure does.
Well, how about ice cutters?
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing to see that, we have nothing. So, again, there are bigger plans that have been put in play years, decades ago, with the knowledge of what was supposed to happen in these times. And the knowledge that the power transfer is going to happen at some point in time. Many cultures around the globe had a horrible practice of sacrifice. We've seen it in Central America, what happened on top of those pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
And people that were captured in war, often they were led up the steps, and their fourth chakras and the organ associated with the fourth chakra was removed.
Yeah.
Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. What type of beings would really want blood sacrifices? Ask yourself that. What type of being would approve of a blood sacrifice? And how about Babylon the Great? Many people take it as a whole system. Some view it as the U.S. Interesting, when we talk about the destruction of the city on 7 hills, well, obviously we have Jerusalem, we have Rome, we have London, we also have D.C. too. Very interesting. And this is the area that we're talking about. So, as I've shared with you guys, since 2016, I've been getting the message, Trojan horse, Trojan horse, Trojan horse. Here you see Newsweek exclusive inside the military's secret undercover army. Yes, over 60,000 strong. More than 10 times the assets of the CIA. And these people are so secret that the government pays their taxes for them. They have, fake names, fake addresses, fake everything. Again, I got a question. Where's the government of the people, by the people, for the people, where the people have a right to see things? Shouldn't there be governmental transparency? It's an unprecedented shift that has placed an ever greater number of soldiers, civilians, and contractors working under fake identities. For who, really? And meanwhile, we see that the Pentagon is going to be looking very closely at the social media of the people in the military for extremist content. Yeah, they better not do anything extreme at all. Like actually, say we're here to help the citizens of the U.S. and
Yeah.
look out for their rights, their
Oh,
liberties.
yeah, you don't dare say look out for their rights.
No, no. I guess it's in Bezos and Gil Bates and the
Yes.
like that we trust.
Yes.
So yeah, they're going to be watching and surveilling. Not that they don't already. They watch and surveil everybody. And there's so many. We were talking today to one of the family members when we were working on them, who has done a lot of research, and just saying, can you imagine? Because your smartphone could be turned on anytime. And so there were iPhones that were taking infrared photos of people like every so often. And if you covered it up, it would take more photos, trying to, desperately trying to achieve its purpose and its job. Think about the AI that's involved to scan and search through all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying that there's a big place in Utah that does just that. We don't know exactly what they are. Obama says UFO sightings appear real. There you go.
There it is. Disclosure.
The big O is saying it.
Yep.
It's not just the big O. There's been so many others.
Mm-hmm.
And, and some people that, there might be one person out there that's not going to be swift enough to catch when you're a little facetious, when you're, just, poking with a stick a little bit. Of course, we don't trust anything that any of the government officials say.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you shouldn't, should you? I mean, really, think about it. And I've shared with you guys over on Evolutionary 239 times. It's undocumented or declassified documentation now. 239 times. There was stuff put up over our heads that wafted down, perhaps into many people's lungs. Some people got sick in the U.S. Look up Operation Sea Spray over in San Francisco, for instance. 2 U.S. Navy training jets collide midair. This was over southern Texas. And did crash, but luckily just minor injuries. And by the way, with the UFO thing, yeah, it's such a big buzz in the awakened circles. Expect Project Bluebeam. But what it does is it gets people to think there are no aliens, or the whole alien thing is an illusion and it's all just our technology. Perhaps that's what they also want you to think. Just like they wanted you to think the world was flat. Just like they wanted you to think that the earth was the center of the universe. Just like they wanted you to think that we're alone. It's just us, God, angels, and demons. That's it. Well, Jesus. They always want you to not understand what the truth is. That there's tons of life out there. There's many, many civilizations out there. It's too innumerable to count. Many of them are interacting with us now and have interacted with us forever. There are beings that were here pre-Homo sapiens. We were talking about the Nagas and the legends of the Nagas. And many sources say the Nagas were here way before humans were here. And that's part of how the Draco reptilians can claim this as their territory. They say the first intelligent beings that were here were basically serpent beings.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Nagas are in many legends, many different places. Primarily, though, we find them in Southeast Asia. We find them India, over to Thailand and everywhere in between. There's actually a tribe of people that are in eastern India. Their land is called Nagaland because they say they went there when their island, their home island, went under the sea. Boy, does that sound like, Mu and Lemuria right there, does it not?
It sure does.
So 2 retired Navy officers warned that the UFO Tic Tac sighting that we've been talking about indicates technology 100 to 1,000 years minimum ahead. You might want to even think farther out than that when we have, 2 million-year-old perfectly sphere metallic balls that we have found over in Siberia. There's so many anomalous objects. Forbidden Archaeology is a must-read. Definitely, if you haven't read Forbidden Archaeology yet, read it before it's all burned and, the cyber burning continues. Terrified onlookers flee as Chinese skyscraper wobbles, triggering evacuations. Oh yeah, people were nervous here. There's video here for you guys to check out. And again, we don't play the videos because they could end up giving you strikes and shutting you down. And there's more and more systems in play all the time to go through and check every word said. But yeah, what caused this? There wasn't an earthquake. That's the big thing. There wasn't an earthquake. So why was this thing wobbling? Is it technology being tested? As we've talked about the weather warfare and other types of covert things going on. Is this some sort of technology? Is it expanding Earth? Is it something tectonic? Is it related to the Mudflood? I don't know.
It does. It really feels like it is some kind of strange energy had to have done it, though. We just don't know exactly where it came from.
Well, it could always be Godzilla.
Yep.
And by the way, talking about things shaking, Darwin's Arch. This is a famed rock formation in the Galapagos Island collapses. Now, I'll leave it at that. There's a Godzilla emerging out of the Pacific. This is off of the coast of Ecuador. Beautiful area. Amazing. This is a unique place on the planet. And just so you guys can see what it looked like before, we have a photo over here too. So what caused this to collapse? Was it just its time? It's just a formation. Eventually everything collapses and disintegrates and becomes dirt, so to speak.
Yep.
Or is there something else going on here? There's a lot of things going on for sure all around us. And so we know Elon Musk wants to have people having a city on Mars. And here you see NUA seeks to become the first sustainable city on Mars with 1 million residents. Aerospace engineer Gisela Detrell, who helped design the Martian city, discusses what a city like NUA can offer residents by relying solely on the resources on the planet itself. And Elon Musk wants to have something like this going on by 2050, 30 years, not even 30, 29 years from now. Do you think we'll have anything on Mars like that? I mean, are there already things like that on Mars? And that's the big question.
That was going to be my comment. It's like it's already there. I mean, they're just like prepping us, getting us ready to see what's already there because they've lied to us this whole time.
Exactly. And so, this is part of that bigger plan. They have to give disclosure because it's coming. It's inevitable. People are waking up, and then there's also more beings that are going to make themselves known. Some benevolent ones are going to, show themselves to us more and more often because they know what's going on. They're not happy with what's going on at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to get our attention, and they also want to provide moral support, but they believe in free will. So they will not interfere unless certain galactic laws, galactic treaties are broached. And again, I reiterate, isn't it strange that there was such a push just a little while ago, like a year ago, to go to more and more smaller yield NUKE weaponry? Again, certain threshold, other powers will get involved. So we had this conversation with one of our family members yesterday, and they're in a position where they don't have to be in the US, and they're in NYC, and they're feeling like it's good to get out of the city. It's good to get somewhere a little less populated, safe, know what's coming, could feel what's coming. And again, this is a person that has a regular spiritual practice, so they're really in tune with things and their guides. So here we have the 10 countries where expats are happiest with work life and cost of living. Now this is where people that were United States citizens have taken off to. Where are they happy? Where do they say, I made the right choice? Well, your number one choice is Taiwan. Now, that wouldn't be my number one choice now, because again, there are clouds on the horizon that look like there's going to be major events. And if I was a betting man, I would bet that Taiwan might see a change of leadership in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like a high probability when there's been so many incursions going on from a certain fine dining ware country. So yeah, it might be great in so many ways as people are happy with their job, their work-life balance, they're happy with the quality of the medical care, the services, cost of living. They say that people are friendly. They love it. They love life. 80% are happy with life in general. But that's one that I don't feel would be a wise choice in the environment that we're in for obvious reasons. Mexico, now that's right to the south of us. Yes, people worry about cartels. But when you look at the people that are expat there, 80% are happy with their jobs, 72% are happy with their work-life balance, 79% are happy with the cost of living, 68% happy with the quality of medical care, 77% say making new friends is easy, 89% in general are happy with life. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see those type of numbers, in well, like in the U.S. right now, and in many other places as well. That is huge. Interesting too. I mean, I always had the feeling people will be heading the opposite direction in the times that we're heading into, and trying to break out of the border and head south.
Mm-hmm.
Costa Rica, this has always been on my radar as pretty much my first choice. And now, as far as when the pole shift happens and crustal displacement happens, which again we're getting is going to be more like in the mid 2040s, maybe not the best place. There are going to be issues with earthquakes and volcanoes. It is one of the most biologically diverse countries in the world. There's tons of friendly people. There's a huge spiritual community going there. They do not have a military, and their healthcare is nationalized and very, very inexpensive, and the quality of it is not bad. So you can see the stats there. 88% happy with life in general. Malaysia is next, and then we have Portugal, another beautiful place. New Zealand is 6 and Australia is 7. They're not inexpensive. That is for sure. Actually, overall, they tend to be more expensive than many places here in the U.S. Great areas, gorgeous, beautiful, lots of friendly people. We have so many wonderful family members, and some of our best friends are from these areas.
Mm-hmm.
Ecuador, and Ecuador is on my radar. I would not be surprised if that was possibly a place we would be in 10 years' time.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, Ecuador, Bolivia even, and Peru, although Peru will have a lot of natural disasters as well. And then we have Canada to the north, which is a gorgeous, sparsely populated country. But when we're talking about the laws that have been put in effect and we see the effect of the lockdown on people, I would be avoiding personally Canada, UK, and then I would also be avoiding Australia and New Zealand, as far as I feel that these areas are much more restrictive. Some people like that. Some people want to wear 6 face coverings.
Mm-hmm.
That's up to them if they can still breathe. But for me, I would want to be somewhere that is as free as possible, And I guess maybe it's that thought that I'll worry about protecting myself.
Yeah.
I want it to be my decision.
Yeah, me too.
And so, Canada, the other big thing is, look how gorgeous it is. It's just so beautiful. But if we are going to get consistently colder and we're seeing so much volcanic activity, like our good friend David Devine expects that it's going to go totally offline at some point where there won't be any food production there. If you're a good hunter, a fisherman, you could ice fish, trapper, that type of thing, exceptional outdoors person, it might be still great because there might not be a ton of people around. And there's lots of natural resources. But I'm feeling it's too cold and there's too much restrictions going on. Then Vietnam, who, as somebody that grew up in the 60s and 70s and saw this country ravaged, it's really rebounded wonderfully. Great people, very nice. It's a beautiful area. Again, it's right on the ocean, so there will be some earth changes and perhaps some, artificial flavoring involved with the storms. But 85% of people there are happy with life in general and very, very inexpensive as far as your cost of living. 85% are happy with the cost of living. So I hope you guys found this interesting, and maybe some of you there's tons of people looking to move. Most obviously within this country that they're in, trying to prepare for these times. But some people are just ready to say, okay, we're done.
Yep.
We're outie. So maybe you guys found this interesting. I hope so. Thanks for being part of the family. Thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We really couldn't do it without it. And also make sure you are subscribed. Thumbs up if you thought this was interesting. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.